the go live?
The button I just pushed. We're live.
Oh,
we're streaming live. In fact, we're gonna do this like kind of like super official. Are you ready for this? You ready? Now we're live.
Nice.
Even though that first part was live. So to do this live stream, we have Missy with us. So hello, Missy. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Even better now that I'm here.
Excellent. So one of the reasons we wanted to do this is for a couple of things. We have some new stuff coming down the line, and we have several podcast shows, and we need to make sense of it for some of our users. So I thought we would just talk through like what shows we have, what upcoming things we're looking to do. And as we roll into the winter months, what does that mean for the show? And it's conference season too, the technology conference season. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So I thought we would jump on and just do a quick live stream, let people know how to find us and what each type of show is. Is that cool?
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to share up some content here. So bear with me for 1 second. Let me add this to our stream here.
Ooh, I like it.
Yep. So we have 3 main podcasts right now. There are some other ones that we have, but we are not going to talk about those right now. What we're going to talk about is IT Pro and the Technology Architecture Solution Engineering Show. Speaking of, I think we just have on our first live stream, we have our first dropping guest. So I'm going to add our dropping guest, Mr. Devlin, who's co-host with the show. How you doing, Dev?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great. So we wanted to put this live stream together to make sense of all these different shows. So if you've noticed in your podcast player for MAIT Pro's podcast, there's 2 different icons for the shows. One is called a conversation with, and the other one says IT Pro Talk. And it all looks like the standard color with our logo, but just so you know, some people have an affinity for something a little more technology or business and tech, and some people want to hear what others in business and technology are doing. So, for instance, a conversation with is Mr. Devlin. I had one with him where we talked about his career arc and everything that went into getting him to where he's at today as a lane leader. So Dev, what was your experience with that particular show, and what were your thoughts on some of the past few shows we had?
I mean, the experience when I was on and talking on that series was, I thought it was great. No one's really ever asked me about my career in that sense, and even though I'm still young in the industry, I thought it was a great experience and a great, especially for me, a retrospect to talk about what I've been up to this point. The rest of the shows have been good. It's been covering different topics, and you've had different people from different lines of business and different areas in those businesses talk. And I thought it's been a very diverse set of conversations, and it's not just been rinse and repeat.
Yeah, for sure. We want to try to provide as fresh perspectives and concepts as much as possible, and that's even with the conversations. And some of them have a common theme. Like recently I've been asking, what is it, who are you looking for in your team, and what do you look for in a leader? Missy, you're a very big sounding point for me when we have these shows, and it's unfair almost, because I always ask you, is like the second it releases, like, did you listen to it yet? What were your thoughts? So of the past few that I know you've listened to, is there any takeaways of the conversations with? You there, Missy? Do we lose you? I think we might have lost you, Missy.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
All right, we'll have to get her back in here. So one of the things we want to do is also talk about what the IT Pro Talks are. So MAIT Pro has what are called Protox, and those are more focused, as we have on the screen here, they're more focused for discussing existing and maybe emerging technologies, how they help your organization. So it is called IT Pro Talk. It's not just for IT pros. So you'll hear actually for the last show we're going to talk about here, Mr. Devlin is probably going to guest in on that one too as well, because there's a good perspective that we have with multiple different avenues of business leaders and IT leaders, and there's 5G and there's collaboration tools and there's teams, so picking a strategy and picking a methodology and understanding what the impact is for your business. So stay tuned to that space. And we got Missy back here. So glad you're back. Live streams are wonderful, aren't they?
Yeah. Internet and technology in general. I'm not sure what happened, but everything just died all of a sudden.
Yeah, that happens. So I'm actually going to rewind. So as I mentioned, I bounce a lot of the, conversations off you. Were there any takeaways or any shows that stood out to you in that space?
So one thing that I really enjoyed was the crossover in conversations between the ones that we've done recently. Dev, you had some really interesting stuff that you touched on, in particular, talking about how the technology people in an organization might struggle with consultants coming in, and like it's a bit of a, oh, you're stepping on my turf sort of thing. Yeah. And then what was really interesting to me was the actual tie-in that happened with your conversation with Dean a couple weeks later. And he was talking about the importance of being able to communicate correctly. And I love listening to podcasts on becoming a better person, better professional, how to be a better leader, etc., and do a lot of research about it. And I thought that there were some really interesting points made there that crossed over, whether or not you intended for them to be. So Dev really called out how a lot of times tech folks are like, whoa, who are you to be stepping in my lane and telling me what to do? And the consultants aren't trying to take over anything. We're just trying to help. And then Dean highlighted the importance of being able to communicate. And that is usually what makes for such a great, successful consultant, is being able to be that super rock star technology person who is also able to actually communicate with people and get them to walk them back from the ledge, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And we reset that channel. So we had just to kind of let the users know or listeners know who may have listened in the past. There was a whole library of IT Pro stuff that we dumped because we wanted to reformat and not have a lot of lingering artifact. And it truly kicks off with the conversation with Jeff Hancher, which I thought was one of the, they're all fun, like Erica, Jeff, our friends from Landis, the whole thing, every one of them for me personally is fun because it's a conversation to sit down and it's like we just hit record on our regular conversations we have. It's just we get permission to put them out there. So, but it all really started with the reformatting and trying to be more prescriptive to make sure that our messaging gets out in a more clear way with the Jeff Hancher show. So that the conversations with are probably one of my favorites. Technology, I can talk all the time, which leads to our last one, which is our longest running show, which goes back, several years. We just refer to it as the show, but it's the Technology Architecture Solution Engineering Show. And it's discussions about technology, and it is a little Microsoft centric because our day job, we are Microsoft partners, but we don't put the blinders on. It's about best practices and choosing the right choices. It's not just like the IT Pro Talk, it's not just for IT people. It's for IT people and the business alike. The difference between the Pro Talk and the IT Pro stuff is we're building better business people and better professionals. With the show, we're building better organizations through technology. So that's kind of the differentiator between them. And I get that asked a lot. It's like, do you find overlap? I find overlap in concept, but I don't necessarily find overlap in like we just did this show, the same show, and put it on a different channel. So it is nice that we have the ability to get the messaging out in multiple lanes. And I will say that the show is sponsored by Aspirant, what was part of our day job. So you'll notice it's up way over there with the screen. It says IT Pro. That is obviously my brand and things that I do from a media perspective. You'll see when we do these live streams, that's the next graphic I'm going to show you. You'll see the little change on the video channel too. We're going to have the appropriate icon up there. So you'll be able to quickly, discern what type of a show it is. So if you want to just hear conversations, look for the conversation with. If you want to learn about new and emerging technologies and how it impacts business, that's Pro Talk. If you want to hear how some nuts and bolts of some things are, but does it apply to business? that's the show. It's available everywhere you can get your podcasts and some new places coming up soon. So if all that makes sense, I'm going to change this graphic here in a moment. Let me unshare that.
Dev, I love your new hair.
Thank you.
What hair?
Yeah, what hair is probably more appropriate.
Yep, that's about right. So short. You just cut it short for the summer months?
For sure.
I try.
Live streams to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I didn't put that on here because that venue may change. But what's important is that some of the audio podcasts we are going to attempt to do on this platform, and as we're doing it on this platform, what we want to do is also get some audio versions of this. Content creation is hard, right? Anybody that makes content understands that. And actually, in some of the ITP stuff we do, we talk about content creation to get out to your business and or to the public. But when we record an audio and somebody's on the treadmill listening, the feedback we get in the chat is like, I really wish I could have saw a screenshot. So what we're going to do is attempt to, when we have demos or something maybe a little more technical, we're going to try to include a live stream of it and or at least record it here to tape and get it released on those venues. We also have a Vimeo channel too, but there's no point in putting a link to there. Let's point you in the two places where you're going to hit us with live streams. And really exciting is in talking with the day job, we're going to have regularly at least twice a month, if not more, depending on how much the Microsoft development team keeps giving us new features. We're going to have Teams Tuesdays. So we're going to do a live stream on Tuesdays from 12:15 to 12:45. It depends. It'll last as long as the content we need to get it out there. We don't want to take all your lunch hour and make you snooze. But what's important is getting the messaging out and how to use this stuff in the best choices. So we're super excited about this. We're also going to take some of this content and direct you, if there are service offerings through some of our sponsors, we'll direct you towards the sponsor so that they can get access to you, so you can get your answers asked. And we also really encourage answering things inside the comments and chats on the various platforms. They do surface up here eventually, but they do surface up here, and we will see them if not in post. So I know I am excited for this. Anything you guys have to add to this? I know, Dev, you're like, okay, I got past the struggle of talking to a mic. Now people have to look at me.
No, I think from there's the video part, but no, I think it's exciting. I think I think we're changing up a little bit, trying to consolidate some things, and I think it'll be good for the viewer. So awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's great to see this happening. I know we've had a lot in the works, a lot of plans for a while, and just life gets in the way. And I mean, let's be real. I think we all kind of can agree that the year 2020 kind of didn't exist for anybody. And I swear, I'm like, oh, that was last year. Wait a second, that was 2 years ago. Just forget that 2020 even happened. So to see this coming through, it is super exciting to see this actually come out. Can't wait to get it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And not giving spoilers. And I mentioned something about the winter and some things coming, not a Game of Thrones reference, but the one thing I will say is like the amount of stuff in our OneNote content notebook for formats and things we want to do is massive. Yeah. We're looking to put on this platform as something that we developed with one of our former hosts, the ABCs of the cloud, which was originally the ABCs of Azure and ABCs of 365. So if you are new to this, or maybe your business, you want to have an understanding of all the different things that in components, that is a reality. It's now live streamed, and I kind of committed myself to making sure that I finish it. So that's a good thing, right? And then the other thing that we've talked about are deck talks. So we have our conversations with. We've formalized some partnerships with some organizations that help bring subject matter expertise to you. But we're going to try to bring it in a unique, let's not sit here and talk at you way. So stay tuned to this space. Really appreciate all the listeners and all the potential viewers, right? Thank you, Dev. Thank you, Missy, for jumping on. And I'm going to end the broadcast. Again, this was just a quick update of what's going on. Get all the pipes working here and everything connected. So appreciate everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.